Thank you for joining us this morning. We're very happy that you've joined us in this webinar being organized by the Malta Council for Science and Technology. This is the Horizon 2020 unit that is organizing this seminar today. Given these very testing times, we're still very happy to provide information and service about the Horizon 2020 program, specifically for SMEs and startups. But we're also offering the opportunity, and we're also interested in having this opportunity for a virtual matchmaking session, a very brief virtual matchmaking session. Before we start, a couple of things, administrative issues, just to be sure. As you can see on the screen, the most important thing, if you have not done so already, is to follow us. We have a Facebook page on Horizon 2020 Malta, and our newsletter, which you can register on our website. Please check that your microphone is muted so that we don't have any mishaps during the actual webinar. And yes, we will be sending you the presentation and the recorded webinar at the end of the actual presentation and the webinar. So yes, we will be sending all of this information to those that have registered. So we will now start. And again, this is a webinar that we have set up as we are interested in providing information about Horizon 2020 for the Maltese SMEs and startups that are here in Malta. So this will be an excellent opportunity to learn about these opportunities, especially with regards to funding and to any support being provided through this Horizon 2020 program. So today it's going to be a very good session to talk about what Horizon 2020 does for SMEs. We're going to go through two ways and two approaches. We're going to first go through the funding that is available for SMEs, the funding through the Innovation Support Mechanism and the Cascade funds. We'll also be joined by my colleague, Ms. Lili Vasileva, who will be talking about the MSCA. And I will also be talking about the European Innovation Council. In terms of the support, we will be also having a brief overview of what support we can provide also through the Europe Enterprise Network. And if you can all obviously stay till the very end, we will have the virtual matchmaking session where we have published, of course, all of the profiles that have been given consent to publish their profiles. And we will be giving that opportunity for all of us to view these profiles for future Horizon 2020 projects. So my name is Stephen. I am one of the 7 NCPs, National Contact Points, here in Malta under the Horizon 2020 unit. I am responsible for the innovation and SMEs, access to risk finance, but also space. But today, obviously, I'll be focusing on the support that we will be providing under the SME support schemes of Horizon 2020. And before we go into that, I want to give a brief introduction of Horizon 2020. For those of you that do not know Horizon 2020, it is the biggest EU research and innovation program of the European Union. We are now going through the end of the 7-year program, which started in 2014 and will end towards the end of this year. But this will be succeeded in 2021 with the new Horizon Europe program. And essentially, this will be a continuation of the research and innovation program. And again, they are reaching towards an 80 billion funding over the next 7 years. Horizon 2020 is again, can be divided into 3 specific pillars, as they say. So again, the 3 pillars are the excellent science, the industrial leadership, and the societal challenges. The general rule of thumb is, of course, that under the excellent science pillar, you have topics that are geared towards mostly blue sky research and to researchers, testing and developing new and unknown technologies. So a lot of the focus is on financing and supporting that blue sky research under the excellent science pillar. The industrial leadership is geared more towards the innovation side of research and innovation. and is obviously connected with a larger focus on companies as well as research institutions that carry out large projects through consortiums of research projects. The societal challenges are part of the Horizon pillars that also tackle specific challenges such as health, food security, energy, and transport. The most important thing to note here is that whilst there are 3 pillars and each of the 3 pillars are geared towards a specific type of research and development, that all SMEs can participate, and the SMEs that have already participated in the program from the Maltese side have actually participated in all of these 3 pillars. So for those that are interested in IT, there are SMEs that can participate in ICT, but there are also SMEs that have participated in health, in food security, but also on the excellent science pillars such as the Marie Curie Actions. And to give you a demonstration of how Maltese SMEs have actually participated in this program, we have a very nice video which we'd like to show to you, and we'll play it right now.
Which company involved in research and innovation? Do you need funding in order to develop an innovative technology? The industrial leadership pillar aims to speed up development of the technologies and innovations that will underpin tomorrow's businesses and help innovative European SMEs to grow into world-leading companies. It consists of 3 specific objectives. Leadership in enabling an industrial technology provides dedicated support for research, development and demonstration, and, where appropriate, for standardization and certification on information and communications technology, nanotechnology, advanced materials, biotechnology, advanced manufacturing and processing and space. Access to risk finance aims to overcome deficits in the availability of debt and equity finance for R&D and innovation-driven companies and projects at all stages of development. Innovation in SMEs provides SME-tailored support to stimulate all forms of innovation in SMEs, targeting those with the potential to grow and internationalize across the single market and beyond. Maltese researchers have successfully participated in projects funded under this pillar.
We are currently involved in a €4 million European project, Horizon 2020, with a research innovation action. The title of the project is Prime VR2, and its scope is to develop a bespoke controller which can be used by various patients in a virtual reality serious game environment. The main purpose is to develop a platform in which patients with strokes, sports injured patients, as well as children with dystonia can rehab themselves using this controller. The project in fact involves 4 universities, 6 SMEs, and also a number of what we are calling living labs who will be using the technology. And therefore, through this project, our aim is to, apart from achieve the required research results, to network and expand our portfolio of collaborators.
So in 2016, Leadership Inspire, a project conducted by Inbound News Limited, was successfully funded by SME Instrument Phase 1, the Horizon scheme, whereby we successfully performed a feasibility study which served both for commercial and technological feasibility that enabled us to create a product that is now in the market, being used by iGaming, restaurants and hotels locally as well as abroad. The product itself is a advertising optimization engine powered by artificial intelligence. SME Instrument Phase 1 was the perfect entry point for our company to conduct such an R&D intensive project because of the commercial risks involved in a high intensity project such as this one. Luckily, we found the support from the EU fund that allows us to make sure that what we're building was going to be well received in the market. And luckily,
Horizon 2020 is the EU framework program for research and innovation. Get in touch with your national contact point at the Malta Council for Science and Technology for further information and assistance.
Okay, thanks for that. Apologies if the audio quality was not up to scratch. Unfortunately, yes, we try and do our best with with technology these days, but of course, once we share the presentation with you, you can actually have the link to the actual video, so you can have a clear view of the actual video itself. So that was just to give you a brief idea, and the point there was to show that we had companies that worked in both the work program of Horizon 2020 and in 2 different programs within Horizon 2020. So again, it shows the wide participation and the participation from Maltese entities. Just to briefly give an overview, again, Horizon 2020 is open, so to all member states, but it goes even beyond the member states through the associated countries. So when SMEs would like to partner on countries on calls, they are able to partner with companies or institutions not only within the EU member states, but also from other countries that participate specifically in Horizon 2020, which are the associated countries. So this even includes Switzerland, the Faroe Islands, Ukraine. Also to note that the UK is still eligible to apply for Horizon 2020 funding till the end of this year. So again, the 27 EU member states plus the UK are eligible to apply to, at least for the UK, to apply to the end of this year. Also, interestingly, under Horizon 2020, we have the participation of third countries, and this also happens in Horizon 2020. So you can have projects where you have countries from low to medium income states. These are basically, for example, in sub-Saharan Africa, so they can be automatically listed to apply for a project. But also under specific topics and calls, you may also find the eligibility of countries such as from the United States, North America, Canada, and Japan. So they have also the opportunity to participate, but in exceptional cases if it's been actually provided for in the call text. But the main criteria is very much 3 legal entities from 3 different member states or associated countries. So when applying for a general Horizon 2020 project, and I want to stress this, general as in the main Horizon 2020 work program call, 3 legal entities from either a member state or an associated country. This doesn't apply to certain specific calls, which we will go through today. So for example, the EIC Accelerator, which is specifically targeted to SMEs, and the MSCA, which we'll be also talking about towards the end of, towards the middle of this presentation. The types of actions, again, generally through Horizon 2020, you will have projects that are catered to 3 different types of projects, or what we call actions. And these are correlated to also the maturity level of the technology being developed. So in a research and innovation action, we have projects that are tackling new, completely new technologies or new innovations and ideas. And this is, again, what is termed as the research and innovation action, because there's a research aspect of it. And this is mainly targeted at what we call technology readiness levels, which is basically a scale to define the maturity level of the innovation or the technology being developed. So as you can see at the bottom of that of the column there, the TRL, as it's named here, is between 1 to 5, so a very low scale, a low maturity of the technology or innovation being developed. Here, SMEs that participate get full funding, 100%. Again, the minimum eligibility criteria applies here, 3 beneficiaries. Then we move along the scale of the technology readiness, and we go up to the innovation action. So what was developed in the research aspect of the project can be then developed into an innovative project that could even go towards the market. Again, SMEs participate in this as well. The TR level is higher. However, the funding rate is different here. It's a 70% funding rate for SMEs. So those are the 2 main actions with regards to the research and innovation actions. There's a third type of project called the coordinated and support action. Again, this is mainly a very different type of project, and it's mostly on cooperation, on EU policy dialogue, on networking events, on cooperation between different entities, and there are different types of projects also that have got nothing to do with actually developing a technology, but actually facilitating maybe networking and so forth. And here the funding rate, again, for SMEs and also non-SMEs is 100%. The costs related to any Horizon 2020 project, this is a general list. And basically these are personnel costs, basically obviously financing labor costs. There is a bit of subcontracting which can be carried out in a project, and of course other costs are covered, such as travel. Equipment is covered through a specific reimbursement scheme, and of course indirect costs, and these are basically the costs of, for example, office equipment, any kind of rental or anything that is used in the actual implementation of the project. These are just general costs that are not specifically tied to the actual costs of the project itself. And these are provided at a 25% flat rate. Generally speaking, once you apply to the call, it normally takes around 5 months till all the evaluations, from 5 months from the closing of the deadline of the call, 5 months to inform all the applicants. And then once the evaluation procedure has finished, it takes about 3 months then to sign and get legal agreements in place to sign in the grant agreement. And then generally speaking, it's around 8 months from the moment you submit your application on the application deadline. This, of course, there's an exception, for example, with the EIC Accelerator. So we will go into that today. Again, this is more, the EIC Accelerator is more targeted towards SMEs. And obviously there are other projects and other types of calls that have a different time to grant scheme as well. Statistics. So let's go back to what is happening here in Malta. Well, in Malta, we've had obviously participation from SMEs here, and we're very happy for that. So here, since 2014, these are quite recent figures. We've had 30 unique companies participate in Horizon 2020 programs. And 5.7 million have been disbursed to these SMEs. So this obviously constitutes around nearly 20% of the total funding that Malta has received from the program. So it's still quite a significant amount, and it just shows that SMEs have obviously a lot of participation as well. And Horizon 2020 is not just targeted towards research institutions or the universities, but SMEs can also play a very big part in Horizon 2020 as well. So given that, I'm going to now go straight into the calls that we have. And I would like to start with, of course, Horizon 2020 being so vast, we're obviously trying to target some elements and aspects of Horizon 2020 where SMEs can participate in. Again, I'd like to stress that SMEs can participate in all of the program, most of the program, but there are some elements that are targeted towards SMEs and SME accelerators. So today I'm going to talk about a couple of these with you today. And the first one is actually called the Innovation Support under the Innovation in SME Work Program. This specific scheme within Horizon 2020 is targeted actually towards the business accelerators and the business support entities that support SMEs in Malta. And I'd like to introduce this first, as it both helps SMEs and it also helps the entities that help the SMEs. So these INNOSUP Actions, as they're called, their main purpose is that they are so-called the third-party financing schemes. They give a service to SMEs. They have a wide outreach, and they're very SME friendly, and they have a multiplier effect. So essentially, the projects are actually assisting SMEs, and SMEs can actually participate not only within the project, but actually be one of the beneficiaries of these kind of projects. And there are quite a number of them through the INNOSUP Actions. I will go through the calls of these INNOSUPs. Now, generally speaking, these specific calls are general calls that are targeted towards the innovation agencies or to the business accelerators. But if you are an SME now listening to this, this can also be of interest to you because you could be one of the beneficiaries. Of course, if you are an innovation agency yourself or you help businesses, of course, these are topics that are very relevant for you. These are the open calls right now that we have. Actually, the first one, the INNOSUP 01, is closing very soon. And I will go straight into that right now. And the other ones are closing on the 1st of December and also the 14th of October. The first one is the INNOSUP 01, which is one of the biggest calls related to SME support within the work program of Horizon 2020. And basically, these are projects that are cross-cutting and cross-sectoral, and they basically focus on a topic of interest, and they try and support SMEs that fall into this subject. So recently, we had a Maltese entity that participated. Malta Maritima actually is part of one of these projects that had recently got awarded. Malta Maritima obviously having the main role of dealing with marine issues in Malta, but they also focus on helping SMEs, and they are part of this project, which is a circular economy project. So this circular economy INNOSUP project is targeting SMEs that would like to participate and to actually improve their status in the circular economy. So that's just an example that I've just highlighted right there. But essentially, the INNOSUPs are targeted to funding these SMEs. 75% of the budget goes to SMEs. They are focused on supporting these through new products or services and giving support to these SMEs. And mainly, they are cross-regional and cross-sectoral. The budget allocated for this year is 25 million. So there might be some business accelerators in this call today that might be interested in participating because they would like to also support SMEs here in Malta. Other small INNOSUP actions, which of course I've just mentioned to you. INNOSUP 05, this is basically geared towards peer learning of innovation agencies. Basically, innovation agencies such as Malta Enterprise, who would be interested in learning from another innovation agency in Europe, they can participate in this call and they can get up to 50,000 euro of money. The deadline for this call is 14th of October. And again, innovation agencies, incubators, technology parks can participate in this. INNOSUP 08 is a new call for this year. And it's actually quite an interesting call as it is actually focused on helping manufacturing SMEs for Industry 4.0. So a lot of SMEs are still not ready for the new Industry 4.0 revolution that is happening. So automation, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. And so this call is specifically helping and supporting these SMEs, manufacturing SMEs, to get ready for Industry 4.0. So giving them tools necessary and also financing these SMEs. The budget for this one is 5.7 million euros, so there will be some interesting companies that are obviously going to be participating in this as well. You can get more examples of INNOSUP actions under the INNOSUP website. So again, for all the business accelerators and the business support units here in Malta, they might have some good ideas to look into this. Now, I've just focused on the business accelerators, and now I want to focus on the SMEs. What can the SMEs get out from this specific call? Well, as I was mentioning before, these calls are actually focused to actually building. These are projects that then fund other projects. And this is what we call Cascade Funding. I don't want to complicate the terminology too much here, but the basic premise is that, for example, these INNOSUP projects, they actually finance, as I was mentioning to you, these SMEs. So this is one of the easiest ways. If you are an SME and you have no experience with Horizon 2020 and you've had no understanding of how Horizon 2020 works, this could be, especially if you have a prototype or you haven't really reached that stage of developing a product, Cascade Funding within these INNOSUP projects or any kind of project that provides Cascade Funding could be a great entry point for an SME into Horizon 2020 funding. So this is also the reason why we have the INNOSUP projects, so that we support the SMEs that do not have the ability to participate on their own, or they don't have the experience. And there are actually a lot of funding opportunities. I've actually listed it. There's a whole list there, and there's actually a whole webinar out there also that we can share a link to. But these are all specific calls related to funding, and they're very open and they're very flexible. This list that I've just published here is just a sample. But recently we had a Cascade funding of blockchain. So there was 20 to 30,000 euros given to SMEs on their blockchain solutions, which was published on this specific portal. So again, this is a great entry point for anyone who would like to participate in Cascade funding. This is most of the INNOSUP and the Horizon 2020 work program call for SMEs. But as I mentioned to you, the SME issue is cross-cutting, and I would like to introduce to you now my colleague and fellow NCP, Lily Vasileva, who will be introducing other opportunities within the excellent science pillar of Horizon 2020, where SMEs can actually participate in research as well, in pure research as well. So I'd like to hand off now this presentation, thanking you all. For the time being, I will be signing off, but we'll be coming back in right after Lily will be presenting. And of course, we will be, any questions that you will have, we will be doing this towards the end of the presentation.
Actions in Malta. Today I will present you with an opportunity that will give you the chance to host experienced researchers in your respective companies. The action is called Individual Fellowship and is part of the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions. So the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, or shortly we call it MSCA, falls under the Excellent Science pillar. Steve has already given you an overview of the three pillars and the thematic areas that fall within each of the pillars. So now I'll just proceed directly giving you some key features of what the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions and all of the funding that it provides actually involves. So it's important to know that all actions are completely bottom-up, meaning that any research idea from any field can be submitted. The program involves mobility, so researchers need to move from one country to another. It is also important to highlight that successful projects include international, intersectoral, and also interdisciplinary approach. The program pays particular attention to gender aspects, both in the research team and also in the actual research project. The MSCA budget is quite significant. It's for the 7-year period of Horizon 2020, it's of 6.2 billion euros, and it also provides very attractive package for the successful researchers participating in the program. So here on this slide, you can see the different types of Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. In total, there are 5. On the screen, you can see four of them. The 5th one is the night action. It's well known as the Science in the City event that happens in the last Friday of September every year in Malta. The same event also happens in many European cities exactly on the same day. So it is a very well-known event. Today, I will speak to you about the individual fellowship and in particular the Society and Enterprise panel. So the individual fellowship has different types of panels, and the researchers can choose the one that is most suitable for them. Just to give you an overview of the different types of actions, so to our main point today will be the Society and Enterprise panel. The standard European fellowship, for example, is the most popular one, and it is suitable for researchers moving to Europe or between European countries, meaning member states or associated countries. The Career Restart panel supports the individuals to resume research in Europe after they had a career break. The reintegration panel supports European researchers to return to Europe from a third country. This can be also their country of origin. And the global fellowships support the European researchers to do their postdoc outside of Europe in a third country. And the Society and Enterprise panel is suitable for researchers that wish to do their fellowship in a non-academic entity, being an SME, startup, any industry, public body, NGO, and so on. It's important that it's non-academic. So this is the subject of today. Most of you being SMEs here, it will be interesting to hear how you can host researchers in your companies. The deadline of the call just opened yesterday, and the deadline is 9 September of this year. So now a little bit more about the Society and Enterprise panel. Similarly to the rest of the individual fellowship actions, this action is a type of a postdoc and is completely bottom-up. Any research idea basically can be submitted. The company or the non-academic entity needs to find an experienced researcher who wishes to apply with the company as a host entity, and also needs to identify a suitable supervisor. The researcher needs to be experienced researcher, meaning that he or she needs to have a PhD or at least 4 years of full-time research experience, and can be of any nationality and any age. The researcher needs to agree together with the supervisor and the host entity, being the SME, on an individual project that will be implemented. In order for the researcher to be eligible, though, it's very important that he or she needs to pay attention to the mobility rule. And the mobility rule for the Society and Enterprise panel is that the researcher, the candidate, should not have lived or worked or resided in the country where they're applying, in this case being Malta, for more than 36 months in the last 5 years before the actual deadline of the call, which is 9 September this year. So this means that it can be also a Maltese national who was living abroad and returned recently to Malta. So this person will be also eligible to apply with your company. The action is 100% funded and has very high success rate. So here we are talking of 27.6% success rate during the last call, which is significant. It's like double the normal rate for the individual fellowship. So here is given more chance to the companies to apply. And I really encourage you to apply if you're interested in hosting researchers. The duration of the project is between 12 and 24 months. So one can choose, the minimum is 12 months and the maximum is 24 months. And it's also advisable that the project will also include partner organizations. So the role of the partner organizations is that they will host the researcher for a secondment of either 3 or 6 months. So depending on the duration of the project, if the project is of 12 months or less than 18 months, is up to 3 months, the secondment. And if it's of longer than 18 months, then it can go up to 6 months. And this partner organization can be in the same country, can be an academic entity, can be non-academic entity. It's up to the host to decide, to the host and also to the researcher. It is important to highlight that one researcher can apply only with one proposal. However, the host entity, the company, the SME, can apply with many researchers with multiple proposals. The application is online, like the rest of the Horizon 2020, and consists of the Part A, which is the administrative part, and Part B, which is the actual template. Here we have a very short template of maximum 10 pages, and it's based on excellence, impact, and implementation. What is also important to note, and is very good for the Maltese applicants, is that there is the widening fellowship. This fellowship is basically gives a second chance to those applications with Maltese host entity, and not only Maltese. There are some other countries that are so-called widening countries, but it's important for us that Malta is one of them. So if the application is not funded immediately and mainly set immediately from the European Commission individual fellowship panel, it goes directly to this widening panel and is given second chance where there is additional budget, and again it funds the top ranked project proposals. Here in this presentation I included the direct link where you can download the applications and you can start applying. You will receive this application in the coming days, so you can access the link directly. Once again, I remind you that the deadline of the call is 9th September. Here is a bit more information about the actual funding. So, as I said, the action is 100% funded, but it's using this so-called unit cost. 1 month is 1 unit. So, for example, if you have a project that is 12 months, you have to multiply this amount and it will come to the total of the project. What is important here is that for Malta, we have 84.4% of the first column, the living allowance. For Maltese applicants, it will be 84.4% of the amount that you see of the 4,880 euros. And this will be basically the salary of the researcher. Top up with the mobility allowance, and in case if the researcher has a family, being married or has children depending on him or her, we will also receive the family allowance. No matter if the family will move with the researcher abroad, come here in that case or not. For the SME that are hosting the researchers, they will receive the so-called institutional unit costs, which are composed of research, training, and networking costs. These are amounts that have to be spent on the researcher or for consumables or organizing networking events, attending conferences, and so on. And the management and indirect cost is also automatically given to the company. Here I have included some links to very important documents. If you intend to apply, it's very important that you read the guide for applicants and also the handbook, which is uploaded on the Net4Mobility Plus. The Net4Mobility Plus website also has a lot of interesting videos, success stories, and other interesting and very useful information that I encourage you to also go through it and see. Another thing is that the Net4Mobility Plus also hosts the expressions of interest. So if you would like to apply for that call, but you don't know a researcher that might be interested, then you can contact me and I'll send you a form, a very simple form, and after you fill it up, it will be uploaded on the Net4Mobility partner search form. Also, it's important to have a look at the MSCA work program and also at the MSCA dedicated website. You will receive all these links. So here are my contact details. I'm also the national contact point for the European Research Council and Future and Emerging Technologies, apart from the MSCA. So please take a note of my email, and thank you. If there are any questions, you can put them in the chat box, even now, and me and Steve will try to reply towards the end of this webinar. Thank you very much. Now I give back the floor once again to Steve.
Thank you, Lily. Following on from that, I will now present also my next presentation, which is on the European Innovation Council. So this is another funding opportunity within the Horizon 2020 program, targeting also more the innovation side and less on the research side of things, but more garnered towards the actual marketability and bringing to market innovations from research. So The European Innovation Council is a very interesting new scheme within Horizon 2020, which replicates in many ways the success of the European Research Council. So the European Commission, starting from the middle of last year, or starting from last year, decided to launch this new pilot scheme under the Innovation Council, which serves basically as a one-stop shop for innovators and for SMEs to bring their innovations to the market. So this is very much a new initiative which is focusing on helping innovations come to the market. And this is done primarily in two ways. So the European Innovation Council, again, from idea to investment, is divided primarily into two different sub-schemes. The first is what we call the Pathfinder. The Pathfinder is considered to be a scheme focused on basically on cutting-edge new technology. So obviously, generally these kind of projects that fall under the Pathfinder scheme, they are built out of a consortium of entities and not just one entity. So you will have a research entity as well as an SME that are developing a new technology to bring to the market. So again, developing it from a very early stage to a later stage. The accelerator instead is focused on just a single entity. So applying to the accelerator is very much so a bottom-up process again. For the accelerator, where as a one SME, a mono beneficiary, a single entity, an SME just applies with his or her innovation and hoping that they would get then bringing that invention to the market. So they're quite different in a way that the Pathfinder is more of a consortium and the accelerator is more of a single entity, a single SME. In both cases, you receive coaching, mentoring, and business acceleration services as part of your funding package as well. These are the two pillars. Again, the funding streams are geared more towards maybe the accelerator than the Pathfinder, but essentially these are the two main pillars under the European Innovation Council. Just a small side note, basically if you have known the previous schemes before, the accelerator pilot is basically a modified version of the SME instrument phase 2 and the fast track to innovation. And the Pathfinder pilot is basically the FET Open and FET Proactive. Again, Pathfinder pilot. Pathfinder pilot is based on cutting edge technology and cutting edge research and bringing that to the market. So basically, the Pathfinder is quite similar to a Horizon 2020 project. So you will have a consortium, you'll have entities from different parts of Europe participating in these cutting edge projects and obviously bringing new technologies to the market. Again, the Pathfinder is divided into two different schemes. The FET Open, which is a bottom-up process, where basically you or the consortium brings a new idea, has a different and completely breakthrough idea which they would like to get funding for. So if you have something in mind that you would like to tackle and that you think would get funding, you can do that through the FET Open process, which is a bottom-up process, and you get up to 3 million euros. Generally speaking, the projects are around 3.4 million euros with about 6 partners per project, and the duration again is about 3 years. Then we have a different scheme within the Pathfinder, which is the FET Proactive. Now the FET Proactive is more of the top-down, so the specific topics that you need to cover. And the European Commission has selected what they believe to be the topics that are of interest for the next couple of years, which they believe that in the next 7 years will be the breakthrough in innovation and technology. So artificial intelligence, so that's a specific call, artificial intelligence for social interaction, breakthrough zero emissions energy storage, because of course the energy storage technology, especially for renewable energy technologies, is growing and there's a need for new technologies in energy storage. Digital twins for life sciences, which is based on replicating through technology biological elements of nature, for example, and to use nature in technology. Nanoscale, there's a topic specifically on nanoscale science, and then there's another topic specifically focused on the environmental intelligence, which falls under the new Green Deal package as well, and that was being launched, that was launched recently. Again, these are just topics and they work in the very same way in the Fed Open, in a sense that these are a consortium, and they usually take between 3 or 4 years. The next cutoffs, very briefly, for the proactive is the 2nd of July 2020. There's a 56 million euro budget. As you can see there, I put the acronym RIA, which stands for Research and Innovation Action, which I previously introduced before. The environmental intelligence is also on the 2nd of July with a budget of 18 million euros. Fed Open, the final cutoff for Horizon 2020 is 13th of May 2020. And the budget obviously is much larger because they're also open to many different kinds of applications, so it's about 196 million euros. Now, this is the Pathfinder pilot. I'd like to move on to something maybe more relevant to SMEs and SMEs here in Malta, possibly, is the Accelerator pilot. I think the Accelerator pilot is the basic and the most straightforward answer to funding for startups or SMEs that have a very good idea. The Accelerator pilot basically gives innovators up to 17 million euros. This is actually divided between the grants that you receive, so you can get a grant and equity, which is the new part of the program that was introduced, which is basically the European Commission will provide equity and up to 15 million euros and 17 million euros if you're a health-based startup. So very simply, you have a great idea, you can plan and you can actually go through the stages here of the grant. So the grant is up to 2.5 million euros. Again, the funding rate is 70%. So the 2.5 million euros is there used primarily for the research and development of your innovation. So you have that innovation, you have it in hand. That 2.5 million euro grant is given mainly to develop that product even further. The equity function, which is, again, it's an option, it's not mandatory, but you can request an equity option, is usually used to bring that innovation to the market. What are the eligibility? You have to be basically you have to be just one single entity. You cannot apply with other people, you cannot make a consortium, you cannot make a team, it's just you as an entity, as an SME. The minimum amount of money that you can request is about 500,000 euros if you just go for the grant, and you have to have a prototype, and you have to have a business plan. These are the main minimum requirements to participating in the EIC Accelerator. Now, generally, as I was mentioning before about the time to inform, it takes actually about 3 months, the evaluation period, so it's very fast. There are 4 cutoff dates per year. This year is a bit different, and I will go into that in a minute. If you do apply for the equity, it takes a bit more time to get the equity part of your financing because they will have to go through due diligence. The step-by-step way is very simple. You submit your proposal, and that's the first phase. They evaluate it remotely, and if they believe that is a good proposal, you get shortlisted, but then you get invited to an interview. So it's actually a 2-stage process, and it's a bit like a pitching of your idea. Once you get to that first stage, you then have to pitch your idea to a jury, and hopefully get the financing from the European Commission from there. What's new now? We have 2 remaining cutoffs in 2020. I was speaking to you previously very briefly about the Green Deal. So the next cutoff is specifically just for Green Deal candidates. So if you are an SME that is working within the Green Deal, so the 8 sustainability goals, mainly related to reducing carbon emissions, greenhouse gases, promoting renewable energy technologies, circular economy, then you can apply to that cutoff on the 19th of May. There's a substantial budget of 303 million euros. If instead you if your SME or your project is from a different category, the next cutoff for you is on the 7th of October. Just very briefly, the next cutoffs will also try and promote women-led companies. So the European Commission is trying to push women-led companies. So there will be a percentage of those that have been shortlisted, which will be actually allocated to women. So they're really pushing women-led companies to participate in this program. Last but not least, if you are an SME, but you need assistance and you can't think you can tackle your innovation by yourself, you can go through the Fast Track to Innovation, which is a grant of up to 3 million euros, and you can actually form a consortium. So this is it's still a bottom-up process. You can be 3 different SMEs, 2 different SMEs, it doesn't really matter, as long as you are bringing something to the market. So this is also an option for those Maltese SMEs that aren't that ready to go on it by themselves. They can maybe partner with another entity outside of Malta, and they can actually apply through the same concept through this scheme over here. Again, as I mentioned to you, all of the EIC services have business acceleration and support. So you get coaching, you get mentoring, and you get support through the EIC community platform. That's it for me on the EIC Council. Last but not least, I will now go and introduce to the support side of things. So we've just introduced the innovation side of things and the funding side of things. We will also now go through what support we can give. And I'm very happy to go through what we think is one of the primary support schemes that we have for SMEs here in Malta, which is the Europe Enterprise Network, or the Enterprise Europe Network, or the acronym short form is the EEN. And as we were mentioning before, we have the funding side of things, but we also have what we call the support to SMEs. So what can SMEs get from the Enterprise Europe Network? Again, falling under Horizon 2020, it is the largest support network for SMEs in the world. So even though within its name it says Enterprise Europe Network, the Enterprise Europe Network goes way beyond Europe as a network. In fact, Enterprise Europe Network is around more than 60 countries worldwide in over 600 locations, with a lot of experts supporting SMEs in their internationalization and innovation scheme. And the countries we're talking about are also from North America, from Asia Pacific, from South Africa, from South America. So it's quite a wide-ranging network. And basically, wherever you are and wherever you are connected, you will find agencies just like our agencies that support SMEs. So within Malta, we're very proud to be partners with Malta Enterprise, the Malta Business Bureau, and the Malta Chamber. And these are the entities that we're in, that we support all of our SMEs here in Malta. And we're very proud of this partnership today. So how does this network actually help? Basically, it is very simple. We try and help with innovation. We help you partner with businesses, and we also help you receive other advisory support, access to finance. On the third last image on the right, you actually see a representative there from the Malta Business Bureau, Joe Tanti, who is one of the members also that helps support the Europe Enterprise Europe Network. So the range of services that we provide, very briefly. So the first, and I think one of the most important things, is international partnerships. We have an online website with a partnership database. You can actually go on our website and look for partners, commercial partners, distributors, research partners, any kind of partnership you need as an SME, you can find it on our database. So it's one of the largest databases, I think, in partnerships, and we have both partnerships within the EU and outside of the European Union. The website also brings into light the brokerage events. So a lot of the support that we do is the brokerage events and the B2Bs. So as a consortium, as an entity, the Enterprise Europe Network here in Malta actually subsidizes interested SMEs to participate in events where there is a brokerage event being organized by one of the EEN network points. So you can actually get partial finance to help you go to a brokerage event, which I think is very useful for many SMEs who would like to partner with new entities. And of course, partnership building for Horizon 2020 projects. EEN also provides advisory support on EU laws. So we have, within our consortium, we have actually experts on market intelligence, IPR, access to finance, and on the new EU laws and standards and regulations. And of course, innovation support. One of the most interesting things about EEN is that we can actually go to your SME and we can actually analyze whether or not your SME is innovative or not. So we actually go through different ways and tools and methodologies to see how innovative your company is and whether you can improve on your innovation in your company. So we actually provide that as a free service. I would like to stress that this is a free service to everyone, to all SMEs here in Malta. We can actually improve your innovation capacity. We cover all sectors. They're all listed here, so from healthcare to ICT to environment. So we cover all sector groups, and we've been around for quite a long time now. So there's been quite a lot of SMEs having benefited, and as well also here in Malta, we've had quite a number of SMEs. We're evolving. This is growing over time, and now we're scaling up also and helping the clients that we've had before to actually scale up and to internationalize. The satisfaction rate has been obviously very good. On average, SMEs that use the network have proven to have increased and grow on average about 3 percentage points. How can we help you? Again, the website is one of the most important things. Here is where you can actually develop and publish your profile that you would like to do. So commercial, I was saying, a business profile, a technology profile, or an R&D profile. So these are different kind of partnership that you are seeking for. You can publish it on the website. The brokerage events, as I was saying to you, in Malta, we actually helped with a B2B through the Malta Blockchain Summit. It was very successful. We had about 80 different participants in 160 B2B meetings, so it was very successful. So we do organize B2B events, bringing in people from abroad to come to Malta to actually develop new partnerships. And of course, the event page, which I was talking to you about, you can find a whole list of events, which again, we can help and subsidize for that SME to actually participate in an event abroad. So there's a whole list of events. Unfortunately, with COVID-19, a lot of these events will not be happening this year, but it is a very good thing to take into account for the future. That is it for the Enterprise Europe Network as a support scheme. I would like to end this webinar, as we are slightly running behind time, on the last scheme and last presentation that I have, which is, of course, the partnership, which you've all been waiting for, I think. And I'm going to be now displaying some of the interested participants. So just to give you a bit of an introduction for those that have not participated or just weren't really, didn't understand maybe the concept behind it. As I mentioned to you, as I just illustrated before, Horizon 2020 and is also a lot about collaboration and finding partners, research partners, commercial partners, business partners, and so on and so forth. Because of COVID-19 and because of the many different things that are happening today, we're trying to find novel and new ways and innovative ways for entities to partner with different entities. So the point of this specific presentation, which we would like to end on, is that we've had the consent for those that have participated, that are willing to participate, to publish their profile on this presentation. If you are still willing to participate, you can still publish your profile, and we can, with your consent, we can share this with all of your partners. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay. And so we can actually we can also try and provide the service, and I will go through this also towards the end of this slide. So we've had some interesting entities, but most of them weren't really looking into specific Horizon 2020 calls, but we're just interested to partner with an entity that might eventually want to partner with them on a specific Horizon 2020 project. We just published the ones that we thought that were actually a bit more relevant to actual partnership building with regards to Horizon 2020 calls. And this is what we're going to show right now. Very briefly, these are some of the people that have wanted to publish their profile. So we have some of them, well, a lot of them come from Malta. We also have some from outside of Malta, which I will show to you today. Frankie from Loeb's Lab is specialized in data-driven and AI solutions, and they would like to join in Horizon 2020 projects. Alex Papadopoulos from Epsilon Malta, they have experience and expertise in homeland security, GIS, climatology, and the environment sector. George from Aquabiotech, we've known him for quite some time ourselves. Aquabiotech is an aquaculture fisheries, and they do quite a lot on Horizon 2020 projects. Brian Ogden was also interested in participating. He was actually a previous participant in a Horizon 2020 project called the SME Instrument Phase 1, and he's also looking into new partners. His contact details are right there. Ray Shiberas, he owns a beekeeping company and also very active in the local funding here in Malta, and they're interested in developing new products related to apiculture. Branko Stojokovic, he's from Registrator Software Solutions, building remote access web application systems, so that could be of interest for anyone working in ICT. We also have someone from SimproLit, a construction system that is ecological and cost-effective, environmentally friendly, energy efficient. This is very interesting because, of course, with the Green New Deal, the Green Deal that is focused on energy efficiency and reducing CO2 emissions, there might be some interesting innovations there that are of interest to partner on specific projects or Horizon 2020 calls. The last ones, which I'm going to show, are from abroad. So we had interest from the Cyprus Center for Social Innovation to participate on the Horizon 2020 call. The Center for Social Innovation in Cyprus is focused on fostering social innovation, so that is of interest as well. And we also had someone from Bulgaria, which is the Bulgarian Industrial Association, participating also in this. We also have 3 last entities that were interested. Olga from the National Agency for Research and Development. They are an entity focused obviously on research and development in Moldova, probably interested as well. We also have someone from Ukraine here today, the Ukraine NCP for SME. Hello there, Tatiana. Interested as well to develop new partnerships. And finally, Laura Pelegata from a company called Antidote, providing solutions for environmental protection. So these are interesting profiles. Again, if you are interested in publishing more of these profiles, just feel free, and of course we will update these slides and obviously provide more profiles to those interested in seeing whether you can find any interesting candidates to partner with. How can we help? Well, I've just given you an example of how we help. We are the national contact points here for the Malta Council of Science and Technology. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone today for participating in this webinar. We just went slightly over time, but I think we just kept in within the 1-hour limits, which is perfectly fine. But we're very happy today to spread awareness because this is what we do. And in these testing times, we're very much looking into spreading this awareness. So there are mail shots, and we also have a Facebook page, and we give webinars like this. We advise as well. So again, partner searches is just exactly what we did, but we're doing it virtually through the webinar. And therefore, this is just a very good way to do partner searches in a different context. And last but not least, the legal and financial issues related to your participation in Horizon 2020. So we actually provide support to also in applying for Horizon 2020 projects. So we're not technical experts, but we can actually guide you in the application process. We can look through your application, and we provide this for free. All of our services are provided for free at no cost, and we give also some advice maybe with regards to your project as well. So this is something to take into consideration. Last but not least, where can I find all of these opportunities? The Funding and Tenders portal. Everything that I said here today, except for Europe Enterprise Network, it can be found on the Funding and Tenders portal. You can Google it, and it's the first thing that comes up. I suggest that you look into this and register your profile if you're interested to submit in any of the different calls that we've just presented today. And of course, if you need any information, as I mentioned to you, these are the national contact points, and we all cover different areas. Please feel free to contact them. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact any of us. I'd like to thank you all for having participated today in this webinar. I'm not sure if you have any questions or if there are any other questions. We're going to leave the chat box open now. So if anyone has a question, please feel free to just type in, and we'll wait maybe a couple of minutes for anyone to actually type in their question and see if you have any specific question regarding to what we've just spoken so far. So I'll give just 2 minutes for you to all to just send in your questions, and then we'll reply to them, to each and every one of them. So we just received a question. We're just going to see if there are any other questions. So I'm just going to check the chat box in a second. So I see already some questions related to the presentation. Yes, we shall be sending we will be sharing the presentation and the recording. To all of the entities that have registered. So yes, you will receive it. I see a question related to the fast track to innovation. Now I can't, the question has somehow just disappeared. I'm just trying and I'm going to try and get the question now, but I just, because I'm sharing my screen, I'm just going to see if I can to get the questions. Okay. Regarding the fast track to innovation, am I correct that you require more than one SME, or can only one SME apply? Okay, so the fast track to innovation is basically it is done in a consortium. So you need to have other entities to apply with you as well. The only, again, the fast track to innovation is provided as an opportunity for SMEs that are unable to participate on their own. If you are interested to participate as just on your own, you can go through the EIC Accelerator and you can apply as a single entity. The fast track to innovation is just another option if you would like to apply as with more than one entity. So you have basically two options there. You're welcome. Seeing if there are any other questions. Thank you for all your comments, by the way. Yes, I hope they were all useful. I hope this webinar was useful, and of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to message us. Just waiting if there are any more questions. Okay. It seems that everyone is content. So again, thank you very much for joining us today. Just a few things, of course, that I would just like to say is the Facebook page. Again, please follow us. A lot of the information that we provide is both on our Facebook page and the newsletter. We really provide a lot of opportunities and a lot of information there. So please subscribe, share, and spread the word. Again, the presentation will be shared. And of course, also the recorded webinar will be shared with you. Again, if you would like to present a profile, I will update the presentation. Just send me an email at the email address that you received the invitation. Just send me an email back and I can update the presentation. Otherwise, also follow us on Twitter. We have the same Twitter handle, Horizon 2020 Malta. Just follow us on Twitter, as we also have a short announcement there as well. So thanks everyone for your time, and please stay safe. Most important thing, stay at home, and thanks a lot, and we'll be in touch. Thanks everyone.